The Master of Disguise gets classified. Here's your look at the Hasbro G.I.JOE Classified Series, Zartan. G.I. Joe is a highly skilled, on-demand special operations force of men and women from around the globe. These extraordinary talented heroes are selected for their elite abilities and tasked with defending the world from Cobra, a ruthless criminal organization bent on total domination. With unwavering courage and steely determination, the brave members of G.I. Joe are prepared to seek out Cobra in any environment on the planet, from hostile jungles to ice-clad Arctic peaks. Wherever there's trouble, G.I. Joe is there. Before we take a look at the man of many faces, the first thing we're going to want to do is figure out how tall Classified Series Zartan stands. And while I'm getting those in order, I'd like to thank the folks over at Hasbro that took the time and provided the sample of Zartan that we're having a look at in this review. Taking the tape measure right to the very top of his head, stopping it right there. According to the readout, Classified Series Zartan stands 6.5 inches in height. And for those curious to see what that would look like in centimeters, happy to oblige. The figure stands 16.5 or 16.5 centimeters tall. The figure comes with a pretty good selection of accessories. Let's have a look at those right now. Starting first, he comes included with the backpack, the same style of backpack that the original vintage Zartan would have actually had. I still wish I had that original vintage Zartan. Sadly, I parted ways with him. I still have the 25th anniversary Zartan still sealed on card, and it's one of my favorite from that line. Similar to the original version of that backpack, this actually does open up, and it does display some nice detailing on the inside with some nice additional red down below here. I do like the fact that they did take the time and detail the inside of it. Technically, yes, it would have been simply something that you would have been storing, I don't know, perhaps a mask inside of. But yeah, it's nice that they did take the time and did something else with it and detailed, like I said, the inside of it. Like I did say, though, he does come included with a mask. The mask is similar again to the one that we've got from the vintage toy line, and it does fit very conveniently inside the backpack, just like that. Then take the other half, line the pegs up to the supplied peg holes on, of course, the bottom and top corners, and just line those up and snap it together like that. And that's great. Nice storage for it. It actually looks like he's got a little handle at the top, but I think those are more wires than anything else. In case you are, yes, curious, you can take the mask and, similar to the original one, just pop this out. Sometimes it gets stuck in there. Pull this out, and you can, in fact, take Zartan and put the face mask on him. It usually is easier if you take this piece off, that hood that he wears, then put the mask on. And the mask actually conforms to the shape of Zartan's face. You can see on the inside right there. That's kind of creepy when you see the inside of a mask like that. But that just fits over top of his face. And then from there, you can put the hood on. Now, I don't know if it's necessarily fooling anybody. Clearly, everybody knows still what Zartan looks like, so whatever mask he decides to wear, unless he's deciding to change his garb as well, everybody's going to clearly know exactly who this is. Anyways, it's the illusion. It's the illusion. We're going to go ahead and very carefully take this off, because this would be something very easily to lose. Pop that right off. And we'll go ahead and put his mask back on, his hood back on. I have an interesting story, actually, about that hood. Leave it with me. I'm going to tell you guys in a second. What you can actually do, too, as well, there's pegs on either side. Well, for starters, there's actually a peg on the back that attaches to his back. Go ahead and just spin the figure around. And there is a whole compartment right on the back of his torso. Just put that right in and fit it in place. And then on the side, he actually does have a couple of pegs. Now, the pegs don't really serve a purpose for the accessories that come with this figure. I guess technically you could take this blaster and take the part that where normally would be his trigger and just line that up to the peg hole. It is actually of the proper size, so if you wanted to, you could put the blaster pistol on the side of the backpack and display it like that. Talking about the other accessories, though, we'll go ahead and just remove his backpack, put that to the side. Put the figure down here for a second. Yes, talking about his laser blaster, I do like the fact that all of these classified figures, while they are newer inspirations, newer takes on these characters, and yet they still manage to do a great job of throwing in vintage-inspired accessories, similar to this blaster, for example, which I believe the original Zartan had one very similar in this design. It is all molded in black plastic, but does fit nicely into his hand. And actually, both of his hands are designed with trigger fingers. You can see on the one side and the other side right there. So it's entirely up to you which way you want to have it. Go ahead and put the blaster in his hand, and boy, does that ever look great. The other thing he comes included with, I know I keep picking up and putting down the figure, picking up and putting down the figure. He comes also included with a hunting knife. Similar to the pistol, it's all just molded here in black plastic. It does have, of course, a little opening there where you can actually take the finger and you can put it right into that opening hole. It is a little difficult, actually, because you have to kind of pry the pointer finger out. And then from there, you can kind of tuck it on the inside. You can see right there. See? You can actually put his pointer finger in that. And I think that's fun, the fact that you can do that. But there is a storage place also for the knife. Let's go ahead and just pull that off. Spin the figure around, and on the back, there is a little sheath that stores the knife. And again, I like the idea that all these classified figures usually have a compartment space where you can take then the accessories, making sure, of course, it's going the right way, and sliding that in. Actually, you know what? I think I did have it the wrong way. Sliding it right in. There we go. So there's a compartment there located on the back if Zartan wants to store his knife. The last of his two accessories are rather interesting. I appreciate the fact that they throw them in there, but they're a little difficult to deal with and put onto the figure. I'm just, again, put him down, I know. Putting him down, picking him up, putting him down. He does also come included with what seems to be a monkey's paw. Ooh, maybe I should make a wish. And he also comes with what seems to be the head of a serpent. Some snake. It could be a python. Cold Slither. Remember Cold Slither? He does come with these two little, kind of little trinkets. Little knickknacks he could carry around with him. Both of them actually have pegs. So when you are attaching them to the figure, what you need to do, not always the easiest thing, there's holes located on the side of his belt. The idea is that you're supposed to be able to take these and plug them into the holes. Well, I can successfully plug in the little snake head, but I seem to have a harder time trying to plug in the monkey's paw. One of the big problems is if you look at the belt, hopefully you can see it up close and personal, the belt is very close to his torso, probably just short of me bringing this away from his body, enough that I can actually get my finger behind it. I might be able to peg it in this way. But the problem is if you have it so close to his belt underneath, well, the plastic underneath is going to be fighting with it because obviously this peg is supposed to be fitting straight through. I guess what you could again do is just lift the belt up just a slight bit, get your finger underneath there, and then plug this into place. The pegs are softer plastics, so they're again a little bit more difficult to get. Like I said, I can get usually one in. I may have to struggle then to get the monkey's paw in there. Those are the accessories that come included with Zartan. That being said, let's get a closer look at the figure. And as a larger scale Zartan, I must say it's a rather effective looking figure. You probably have already seen it when we took the time to remove the mask, but yes, you can take the hood off. The hood is removable, and I guess technically as well, the little collar bandana can also be taken off as well. A rather interesting story, and I'll make this certainly quick because I know you guys have places to go, people you need to see. But I did write in, if everybody remembers Toy Fair back in the day, there is a Toy Fair magazine circulating somewhere online, if you found yourself an old copy of it, where I actually did write in asking the question, did Zartan have a hood or did he have hair? And I know before you quickly say he has a hood, there's several older episodes of Real American Hero where when the wind is blowing Zartan's head, you can see his hair is moving. Well, answered to that question was Zach, who ended up working for Diamond Select later on. And apparently they had decided a couple of times to change between jumping between hair and jumping between the hood. So in some cases, actually, Zartan is wearing a hood, and in other cases, he's actually got his hair. It's just one of those strange cartoon things that bothered me as a child. I felt the need to actually write in and get the answers for myself. But as it certainly goes, there's no denying that that's not hair, that's clearly a hood. The hood is nicely detailed. It looks like it actually has snake skin molded on the side. It looks like he's actually sewn on pieces for himself on both sides and along the top area there as well. The face sculpt is great. Classic looking Zartan, and it's almost even hard to make out his eyes because his eyes are so white. You can make out the pupils, but the irises are a little bit harder to make out. Let's go ahead and actually just remove the hood again so you guys can see a closer look at it. Just put the hood down here for a second. A nice, again, head sculpt on this. Obviously, the logical next step to releasing this figure a second time around is, I really think that they could probably release this guy with the sun exposure. And it simply would just involve coloring the skin that bluish tint, and maybe coloring off areas on his chest piece, and areas in his legs as well. I'm sure Hasbro has already considered that. If they haven't, very logical idea. A next step, like I said, of taking this existing mold and just releasing it again, I would be down for the idea of getting this guy with a blue skin sun damage treatment. Seems so strange, actually, to have him without his hood. Let's go ahead and put that back on. There you go. I like to have it nice and low. If I ever was to cast an 80s G.I. Joe, I always thought that Ozzy Osbourne would have been a perfect fit for Zartan, which I think was the inspiration for Zartan initially when they had designed him for the cartoon. Go figure. Nice detailing done, though, to his chest piece. It's got some nice armor, an upgrade to what we normally would expect to see from Zartan, and yet still very familiar. Visible tummy, as you can see underneath it. This is basically just rubbery plastic that they have put over top of it. He's also got rubbery shoulder pads here as well that have some decent detailing done to it. And it's not even just black either. I'm hoping the camera's going to do proper justice to it. There's darker areas of black, but then around it, it's almost like a very, 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 very dark gray. The detailing also done on his gauntlets here as well look quite good. It almost, again, looks like he's got snake gloves. I don't know if I would be aligning myself if I was Cobra, aligning with a guy that seems to like to wear snake things all over his body. Of course, again, he's got that snake head that's attaching to the side of his belt. Similar to the original figure, we've got the little plates there on his legs, which I guess would have been something that could have changed color with the sun. Still wish I had that original Zartan, kicking myself that I ended up getting rid of it. I like the big clunky nature of his boots. Again, a lot of black, a lot of dark color here, really between the brown and then the straps there done in black. It is actually a treat in some ways that he actually has the visible stomach and the arms, because it breaks up a whole lot of dark colors that's making up the majority of the figure here. Tackling now the articulation here on Zartan, what I'm going to do first is going to remove the hood, just because it's a lot easier to get in there to the ball joints on his head. Now, he does actually have two serviceable ball joints. Look at those eyes, though. Woo! Those eyes are awesome. He does have like I said, two ball joints. He has one at the very top of the neck that attaches to the cavity on the inside of his head, but he has a secondary ball joint right at the base of the neck as well. That would be a lot harder to access and show you guys if I had the hood still on. But the head does rotate all the way around. You can see there's the hinge joint right there. Rotates all the way around. It hinges down, it hinges up, and it also rocks back and forth. In addition to that, he also has, like I said, that ball joint at the base of his neck. That allows then the neck to move down and up and also sway back and forth. Love the fact that this figure has two ball joints working like that. Even though technically you're probably not going to see a lot of it because the hood's now replacing it. As for the ball joint in his body, he actually has it at the base, right by his torso. Get a quick look at his belt there. Something I actually didn't take the time to really properly show you. Doesn't it kind of look a little bit like Motorhead? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. He does have the ball joint, though, like I said, at the very base of his torso that allows the body to rotate back and forth this way, but he does have a ratcheted joint back and forth at the top of the torso as well, though a lot of it is concealed by the plating there on his armor. As for his arms, now his arms don't hinge out fully at a 90-degree angle bend. The reasoning, I'm sure, for that is the fact if you lift up the flap on his shoulder, you can see there's only so much wiggle space that the sculpting of the shoulder will allow you to do. He does have the crunch, which is nice. That shoulder socket joint allows the arms to move in and out as well. But when it comes to being able to move the arms up, as you can already see, the size of his shoulders just don't allow you to get anything further forward or further up than the 45-degree angle bend that we're seeing right now. The arms do rotate all the way around. At least one good thing is the shoulder pads are attached by here, so they're going to stay out of the way, especially when you are moving those arms. He does have a swivel at the bicep. He has a double hinge on the elbow, just really, really tight on these joints here. 1 and 2. He doesn't have any articulation here in his gauntlet, but he does have it here in his hand. You rotate the hand all the way around and hinging it also back and forth. As for Zartan's legs, you can do and pull off a successful splits. So easy for me to say a successful splits. I'm not the one having to do them. As you can see, he can perfectly pull that off. It does drop the legs down, however, so you will want to bring those legs back up. He sort of has those drop ball joints that allow and give you a little bit of extra mileage for what you can do with the legs. They swivel about 3/4 of the way up the thigh. He has a double hinge on the knee. He has articulation where the boot is basically attached to the lower leg. Articulation in the feet, and you can also ankle pivot them as well. Again, just the sculpting on the undersides of Zartan's feet for no other reason than just to point them out to you guys. A great looking figure. This was my must-have figure to pick up, I feel, of all the Classified Series figures. I've always been a big fan of Zartan myself, and again, I feel throwing it out there, I know Hasbro's probably already thinking of the idea, but if they haven't already done so, or already haven't thought of the idea already, I think release this guy with that blue tinted skin. You could either release it as a convention exclusive or just release it as an online exclusive, or even better, release it as an in-store exclusive. But I think this particular mold would work perfectly with, like I said, that sun damage look that we see in the comics and in the cartoon. Hasbro delivers a pretty perfect looking Zartan for their Classified Series release, scaled up from the original 80s Real American Hero series Zartan, and luckily they didn't skimp out at some of the fun accessories that made that original Zartan so cool, like the open up backpack, for example, that conceals inside that mask that can change his identity, apparently making him look a little bit more like Gun-Ho. I always thought as a kid, even though he's wearing a mask, he's clearly dressed still as Zartan, so how would nobody know that it's Zartan? At least the other accessories he comes included with, like the hunting knife, can be housed on the figure with the holster located on the back. And technically, yes, you could take his laser pistol, because they don't use bullets in the cartoon after all. It's always lasers. Lasers are always the safer route to go. But at least that pegs onto the side of the backpack. So he technically has the ability to house all the accessories. I did have a little bit of difficulty attaching, though, the monkey's paw. Probably could have used one of those wishes to wish that the monkey's paw would attach better to the belt. But you know, there's always a twist when it comes to the monkey's paw. You think you're getting a wish that you wanted, and instead that cursed monkey's paw always twists it around. And maybe I would just turn into a big giant belt. I don't know. Maybe that would be the twist. You know, I want to just comment quickly on this in final looks. I really like the artwork on the inside of the box. Probably something I didn't spend nearly enough time talking about, because half the time we don't even show the packaging other than just that turnaround at the beginning of this review. But look at that skull with the horns and the snake wrapping around it, and the, you know, the knives with the snake heads on the handles. How awesome would that be for a tattoo? I feel like if I was to get a tattoo like that, that would take me down the rabbit hole, and I'd have to become like a biker at some point. But I do like and dig that artwork. I'd love to see that maybe on a potential t-shirt. Speaking of potential, there's definitely potential on the table here for Hasbro to release the very same Zartan that we looked at in this review with a blue color scheme on his skin. Of course, simulating the fact that he had that sun change feature, which unfortunately this figure doesn't possess. I think that would be probably asking a little too much, but definitely consider the idea, Hasbro, if you can, of re-releasing Classified Series Zartan with the blue skin. I would be down in a heartbeat to picking this up. Zartan from the Classified Series was my #1 pickup for the Classified Series figures that I wanted to get, and now physically having him in hand, he delivers exactly what I would want from a Zartan. Whether you consider Zartan to have hair or a hood, I fool you not. That actually, I wrote that into Toy Fair. If you could find that original magazine, if I can find that original magazine, I still have in my collection. One of these days, I'll show you guys. I totally wrote into Toy Fair asking whether that was a hair or hood on Zartan. No fooling. What do you guys think of the figure? Let me know down below in the comments section. I'd also like to thank the folks over at Hasbro that kindly provided the sample of the G.I. Joe Classified Series Zartan that we could have a look at so well in this review. I love this figure. Make sure if you are new to this channel that you're hitting the subscribe button down below. That will ensure that you're not missing out on anything that's popping up on this channel for the inevitable task of me possibly getting that Dreadnought tattoo. I don't think I'm probably going to get it, but it is very tempting. It does look pretty cool. But let me know, again, if you guys are new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, that you're turning on the bell notification, and that, yeah, you're making sure you're coming back to this channel regularly, because there's always new videos that are going to be popping up. We are going to be having a look at some more Hasbro figures and collectibles, so make sure you're keeping your peepers peeled to this channel at all times. And as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.